So here we have Gina Bino. Okay, what year did you graduate from UD?
1994.
Fabulous. Why did you make an effort? Oh, that doesn't apply to you. It's why did you make an effort to come home to UD in Newark this homecoming weekend? But you're always here, so.
I'm here.
You're here, okay. We're interested in what the UD campus and the town of Newark looked like when you were a student here. Could you describe the campus and town during the years that you were a student here?
It was a bigger town than what I grew up in. I grew up in Greenwood, Delaware, and I did parallel program before I came up to UD. So it felt a little bit bigger, although it was a really nice community. Main Street had it was similar to what it is now in that the Dollar General kind of store is still there. But there were only like the Deer Park and you know, the Stone Balloon at that time, and so late night kind of things as far as options, just it felt pretty dead as far as if you didn't want to go there. Main Street was just basically shut down and dark, more or less. So it's changed a lot since then as far as the life, kind of the nightlife, as far as options of where students can hang out and where people can be, and so that's I think a very good thing for students now versus when I was a student. Yeah.
Anything different that like the college has done different than when you were here?
Geographically, they've done a better job connecting North Campus with the main campus and South Campus. The bricks extend far beyond where they used to. I used to live in Pencader, and when I was first a student, and now they've knocked them down. They are no longer in existence. But I remember riding the bike up the path and walking to campus, and you know, it's the same distance now, but it just has a different feel. It's much more connected, lighting-wise and everything. And I know that they've made an intentional purpose to do that. Probably some alumni gave lots of money to connect the bricks to North Campus. Yeah, so just geographically and physically that's changed as well since when I was a student.
Okay.
Yeah.
You said you lived in Pencader freshman year.
Mm-hmm.
You lived there. Where else did you live when you were a student here?
Halfway through my first year on campus, I moved off campus, partly because of roommate situation, but also finances. I lived with a girl that I met in class, and then we interviewed two other girls at Klondike Kate's once. We met there and saw if we could live together, and we moved into what was called Paper Mill Apartments at that time. Now it's called Pine Brook Apartments. So the four of us moved in together in January and lived together the rest of that year. And then I lived in another apartment with that same roommate for another year. And then I decided that I really wanted to have a traditional dorm experience. I had met some other people that just really valued, like, hey, just be a normal, like, dorm kind of student. And my financial aid advisor actually advised me, why don't you get on campus so that we see your financial need? And that was really good advice, because then the university could see, oh, here's my housing needs and here's my food plan, and then I could definitely eat 3 meals a day versus what I was doing. So those kinds of things were then changed. So I moved into Sussex Hall, which is right near where we're sitting here now. And that was a really fun experience. I was like a big sister to the girls on the floor. It was a really fun year. And then I ended in Christiana Towers because I would student teach, and I wanted to not have to move out during holidays. So I lived in the Towers my last year. So I kind of started on North and ended on North and did a lot of things in between.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Okay, do you recall any interesting events or experience that you connect with your home in Newark?
There were different events that happened that were notable during my time as a student. Some things that were negative, some things that were really positive. One thing that was negative was the KKK actually marched on campus out of Rising Sun in Ogden area when I was a student, which is not something the university wants to remember or highlight. But that was new for me to have kind of a political and very obvious thing. I mean, racism has always been around. But that for me, they marched on Main Street and then kind of up Paper Mill Road a little bit, and so it was where I saw. And I mean, the irony is, after I graduated and a year after I was married, my husband and I moved to Ogden. So it was kind of funny. And it's not that it's as active as it once was, but I thought, that's crazy. Here I'm moving to the place where these people marched out of. So people can stereotype, you know, that part of Maryland pretty easily. But there's definitely a diversity there as well, who lives there. So I haven't had any KKK people visit my house since I lived. But that was a negative experience. But part of the university experience, because people hopefully can voice, not the KKK necessarily, but hopefully there's a diversity on campus and you hear views that are different than your own. So I guess that would lead to a positive experience for me of the university being a place where we hope, and I wanted as a student to hear different points of view and learn about different people's religions. And I was an English education major, so there were a lot of discussions about kind of humanity and humanity's problems and all that. And so that was a really good thing for me. It really helped me sort through, what do I think and what am I going to be about and what do I want to do with my life? So, yeah.
Was there any part of being here that like kind of what made it easy to transition from like home, like that comfort of home? Was there anything here that like felt that same comfort from like home and the warmth?
I think good friendships really made a difference. I think when I couldn't meet people that I felt kindred with, I just felt very lonely. And so it took me a little while to find that and look for that. So I would find it here and there, but eventually it was probably when I got to be a junior in particular. I got to know some people from InterVarsity Christian Fellowship, and there were some individuals in particular in that student organization that I really connected with deeply. And then I started to feel like the campus got smaller for me. So suddenly I knew all these people. There were some people that had some similar values, but also some similar purposes in life that I really enjoyed, and we just had a lot of fun. So it was like, oh, this is the fun of college, but also purposeful, because we're not kids anymore. We actually can do significant things together. We can make differences in important issues or whatever it is. And so you just felt more like I have a home, and that really made a difference for me. So.
What made you stay in kind of the Newark area? Was there any particular reason versus moving somewhere completely different?
Yeah, I definitely didn't have a feeling that I was going to stay in my hometown growing up. Even though I loved my hometown, I never thought I would live there long term. I actually thought I would be living overseas somewhere because I love languages and cultures, and I thought I'd be a teacher overseas. I met a guy in my English classes, so I'm a double Del. He sat in the back and I sat in the front, and eventually we met in the middle somewhere and started sitting together. So he's a great student and a good guy, and I married him in '95, the year after we graduated. So that helped because he had a job in this area, and then I came on staff with the student organization that I had been involved with. So I started being a leader with them and kind of a coach for student leadership, and that kept me in the area as well. So.
Anything else you want to say about Newark and things you maybe like or don't like?
I do love living in a college town. I love the stage of life, and so there's always something going on in Newark, whether it's something with the arts or interesting learning opportunities. So I think that's a neat aspect to the kind of the hometown thing. I love it that I can get to New York or Baltimore or DC or the Chesapeake, or you know, it's just a great kind of multi-state location. So that's a really neat thing to be able to
That is true.
get to. So geographically, it's kind of cool.
Fabulous. I think that's all I have.